Quick lesson on a very special move, castling.
Thanks, Chloe. And yes, castling is a very special move indeed. We'll be learning everything you need to know about it in this lesson. Let's take a look. As you know, the king can only move one square at a time. However, when we castle, we're actually allowed to move the king 2 squares, either to the right or the left. Let's take a look at the right side first. As you can see, I'm moving my king from e1 to g1, and watch what happens. I'm also moving my rook from h1 to f1. So I'm actually moving 2 pieces. Is that legal? Yes, it is. This is a very special move. The whole purpose of castling is to put your king into safety. There are 2 types of castling. You can castle on the short side, like this, moving your king to the right if you have the white pieces, or you can move to the left. And why do we call it short and long? Well, basically, the distance between the king and the rook is much longer on the left side than it is on the right side, and hence the name. So this is how it goes. I move my king over here. Now I'm going to castle long with the black pieces, and I'm going to move my king from here to here, like this. And the rook is going to jump over, like that. Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to do it the other way around now. I'm going to move my king to the left, and this is going to be long castle. And black is going to do it on the other side. He can castle short. Now, there are some requirements for this to work, for this move to be legal. Let's move on. In this position, it's white to move, and as you can see, the king is in check. Now, when you're in check, you're not allowed to castle. Like if I try to move my king over here, the program will not let me, because that's an illegal move. You're not allowed to castle when your king is in check. So let's pretend I move my king over here, and now black tries to castle on the queen side. And look at that. He's not allowed. Why is that? Well, I call it the slow motion effect. Like if you look at black's move in slow motion, you can see that my bishop on h4 is controlling the d8 square. And if the king were to move to c8 from e8, it does go through a square which is attacked by the bishop. In other words, that square would be a square where the king is in check. That's why the king is not allowed to castle on the queen side. See, if I try, it won't let me. And what happens if I try to castle on the other side? Again, it won't let me, because the landing square where the king ends on g8 is attacked by the knight. So you can't castle into a check, obviously. Okay, now there are other rules as well. Let's pretend in this position black goes, I don't know, like a silly move like this. And then now white goes knight f5. Black protects his pawn on g7. He moves the knight back. He moves the rook over here. Then white goes a3 or something. And now black tries to castle. He is not allowed because the rook has already moved. You can only castle if your pieces, the pieces involved in the in castling, have not moved. Okay, that's why you can't castle short here. However, black can still castle long if he makes a move like f6 to cut off the bishop. I can move this pawn over here, and now the king can castle on the other side. Why? Because the bishop is no longer controlling the d8 square, and because this rook hasn't moved. If black now goes, okay, black is going to castle here, white's going to go here, the bishop's going to go here, the king goes back here, black goes over here. Again, it looks as though white can castle now. However, the king has already moved, and that means I'm not going to be able to castle. See, if I try, I won't be able to. Illegal. Okay, that move is completely illegal. That's why, that's one of the reasons why it's so important to write down the moves. Okay, if you don't write the moves, it's going to be pretty hard to prove that, your opponent has castled or has already moved his rook and then went back to its original square. Let's see one more rule about castling. Now, as you can see here, white's bishop controls this diagonal and black's bishop controls this one. Are we allowed to castle here because of the slow motion effect? Like the rook has to go here and it passes through a square which is attacked by the bishop. So can black castle here? And the answer is yes, he can, and so can white. Okay, we can castle along here because the rook is not in check. Sure, that square is attacked by the bishop and the rook has passed through it, but the rook cannot be checked. So who cares if that square was attacked by the bishop? So in this position, white is able to castle, and so is black. Okay, that square, sure, bishop attacks it, but the king hasn't passed through it. And the final thing you need to know about castling is how to write down the moves. So I'm just gonna put a little note here, or maybe a quick recap, because yeah, there are a few things you need to know about castling, and it's going to be a good reminder. So I'm going to do a quick lesson recap about this.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.